So, what's your strategy there?
Trying to get set up for some sizing. Looking for some new pads. Trying to figure out, I'm shrinking. I'm getting old. I'm shrinking. I need to know whether it's time to go down.
Your brain's shrinking. Your size is shrinking. You need a little bit of help here, eh? Like you're missing a couple things. I mean, there's important aspects here that we're completely missing. What do you usually wear when you go out on the ice? A jock, a mask. How about some skates and some pants here to try on the pads properly? My goodness.
The hell does that have to do with trying pads on?
So, I mean, like, seriously, man, you got, like, come on, like, there we go.
What does this have to do with sizing pads?
If we're gonna do it right, we're gonna do it properly.
Welcome back to the Hockey Shop Source for Sports. We're down here in Goalie Utopia with a bunch of, I got knee pads, skates, pants, all strewing about around me thanks to Cam. But I've got pads in front of me because today's segment is about fitting pads. And according to my buddy Cam here, you don't want to do it without all these other parts. At the bare minimum, to properly fit your pads, you're probably going to need a pair of skates. So while I lace them up, Cam, you tell me why that's so important.
So to get a proper fitting, especially for the knee, the toe ties, the skates, all very important to get that exact fit of where that knee is lining up. That's the most important aspect of fitting the pad. We can talk about thigh rises and things like that after, especially when we get into custom pads. We can obviously fit that up, specifically for you. But that said, at the very least, skates, the ideal would be pants and knee pads. And as Kevin is putting on his skates before his pants, he's completely forgotten about the pants part. So we're going to allow him to lace these up. We're going to come back and check on him in just a second here.
Ta-da! I've got okay, we're set. Knee pads, pants, skates. Tell me why it's important.
Again, we want to make sure I'm going to get this full fitment. So not only am I going to get a pretty accurate size of where he's at the knees, we'll start with the knee pads. We actually are going to take them off. You'll see here in a second. But this is going to give Kevin the entire feel for the pad. This is really going to help out with the entire fitting. So now, let's get him laced up. Start with those toe ties. Please. They're important. Do not skip this step because the pad will shift and move incorrectly on your leg, which will give us a bit of a misread. Very important to do up those toe ties as well.
Toe ties are on.
Okay, we'll put the pad on.
Oh, well.
Yeah, do it for you. He's dressed. Okay, stand on up. Let's have a look. Okay, so a couple initial things that I'm looking for overall with the pad. We'll start out with overall height. We can see here, Kevin's got a bit of a gap between that and his overall crotch line. So to me, I already see that potentially we might be able to go a little bit bigger in terms of overall thigh rise. But we'll see here in a second.
Timeout. What size is this, Cam?
This is a 34+1.
Okay.
So normally, Kevin wears a
34+2.
So
guess what? Cam actually sort of sized that properly.
All right.
He might actually know what he's talking about.
So what I do want you to do is take a goalie stance here for me. Maybe come forward.
No laughing.
Just a little bit more. So you don't hit the back. All right. Drop down to your butterfly. Let's see. Okay. So stand back up again. This time, don't move at all once you drop down. Drop down. Stop. Okay. Good. So as an entry-level point, this is starting to give me a good read of what Kevin's specific needs are, how his hips rotate, or lack thereof. Where his knee position lands, his comfortability in that level of butterfly, and there's some very workable features here, and I think we're pretty close. So, Kevin, next thing I want you to do is kick your heels together. Don't move. All right. So, as we can see with the combo of the knee pad, where Kevin actually lines up is pretty good. I'm getting a little bit of that tip overlap with the actual knee pad itself, which tells me the center of his knee, which would be back here, very close to the center of that knee cradle. Now that's the fit we are looking for. Keep in mind, as the growing child, things like that, we are going to want that knee just a little bit lower. So bottom center, not falling off the knee block by any means, but that will allow us to give some growth room inside the pad, which we'll show here in a second. So we've already addressed that 34 is a good size for Kevin.
Which fits with what I've been wearing traditionally.
Good. So also within that too, we've also identified that he could use a little bit more thigh rise up top. So what my recommendation for this size of pad would be, I see that 34 is working. I would recommend either a half inch or an extra full inch on top of that. So either a 34 plus 1.5 or even a 34 plus 2 form. That would help him, A, to get a little bit better five-fold closure, and B, when he was standing up, we could see the pad was lining up on him a little bit short.
Do you want that pad to sort of come right up to the bottom of the crotch? Is that your ideal height?
Bottom crotch line, that's correct. Now, that's a guideline, not necessarily the rule. Some personal preference does come here into play. Different pads are going to sit in a little bit of a different area. And just because a pad doesn't necessarily line up on that aspect of the thigh doesn't mean that you're not going to get a five-fold closure.
Well, yeah, because someone like you who has your butterfly is so narrow, you need like an extra 4 inches on the top of your thigh rise and a whole bunch of bend so you can close.
I don't get scored on five-fold. You do.
Keep going.
Next. So let's see how this looks in something that would be equivalently, on paper, the same size. So let's try you in a Bauer Hyperlite in a size medium, which in theory is a 34 plus 1, and in theory should be close to the same size, but we'll see here in a little bit some of the sizing differences between some pads.
All right, so we're in the Hyperlites, size medium, which is about a 34 plus 1.
Correct. You can already see fitment difference between the two pads. As those CCMs sit a little bit lower on him, these have come a little bit higher up on his leg, but it's also a tighter fit, especially in the shin area. So that is bringing that pad overall up on him a little bit more. So, Kevin, what I want you to do again, let's drop on down to your butterfly. Let's have a look.
So stance, butterfly.
Stop. All right. So you can see his butterfly's changed up a little bit. And again, this is carpet, not on ice. On ice, you will be able to flare out just a little bit more, obviously without that friction there. Again, what I'm most concerned about right now is where that knee's lining up. So, if he kicks his heels together again, actually looking pretty good in terms of for his overall knee height. Once again, that's the front of that kneecap. In terms of knee pad, the actual knee itself will be a little bit further back. So it would identify it being very close to the center of the knee cradle. So we're looking good in terms of for fitment wise. Now the only drawback here is, again, we're seeing that Kevin's gapping out a little bit in his five-hole. So in terms of the curvature of the pad, he might need something that bends in just a little bit more at a break in the knee, or he needs to get a little bit more flare to his butterfly. So either he needs to warm up his hips a little bit more today, which he hasn't had the chance to do, whatever that is.
That's my Jose Maria Ole Thobel. Getting ready to golf. Jose Maria Ole Thobel.
Or these end up
We're going to be on
quite
TikTok
well.
again with that.
Oh, goodness. Here we go. Okay. Stand back up, Kevin.
Now I can properly do my Jose Maria Ole Thobel.
So, out of both pads so far, is there one that you're feeling a little bit more comfortable?
They both feel comfortable. They both feel like I'm hitting the knee block in the right spot.
It took you a while to come up with the most diplomatic answer you could think of.
Well, I'm used to the leg channel. I'm wearing a CCM right now. I'm used to that leg channel. This feels a little bit tighter on me. I feel like I'd be tinkering with the pad in terms of personal preference, but in terms of fit, they both fit quite well.
And you are correct. So I think with a little bit of adjustment here and there, we could find out that either size and either pad would be able to fit you quite well. What I now would want to show you is, so say you were at home and unable to come in, I would want to show how you'd be able to quickly size this up at home and get a rough estimate of what size that you'll need. So you're at home. Kevin has the luxury of coming down here, making a complete mess of my wall. Obviously, not all of you are that lucky. That's okay.
Highly recommend it, though.
Highly recommend it. I'm always here to help, so you'll be able to give me a call if you need anything. That said, what you need to be able to size a set at home will be your floor to knee or ankle to knee, and also a desired height measurement in terms of where you want it on the thigh for the pad to line up. Soft tape measure, hard tape measure will work. Soft would be more preferred just because it's a little bit easier. Okay, so what I'm going to get Kevin to do, we're going to start with a floor to knee measurement first. I want you to give me a little bit of a lunge forward. Okay, so I'm going to find the exact pivot point of where his knee is, which is right about there.
I feel like there's a Friends Taylor joke here about measuring inseam, so you be careful with that.
I'm going to take my tape measure. I'm going to line it up right on the side of the knee, and I'm going to wrap that around down to the floor. So if I look at Kevin's measurement, I get about a 20.5.
Hold on, time out. You're telling me you wrap it around? You don't just measure it on the inside?
I go straight around to the side. Gives me more accurate measurement.
I did not know that. Lessons from Cam. Okay, let's show on the other side. See if I've got two different length legs.
What?
So that people can see how it goes on the outside.
So I'll find that pivot point again, crouch a little bit further for me. Wrap it around. You are actually just a hair different, but I would still consider 20.5 Kevin's floor to knee. So you also commonly see ankle to knee, which would be the exact same measurement in terms of its process. However, I'm going to be stopping at the ankle bone. So crouch forward again. We'll quickly show that.
Inside to the outside again?
Inside to outside. So Kevin gets 17.5.
I just want to show off my ankle.
17.5. All right. So now that I've got that measurement, Kevin, whereabouts do you normally like your pads to sit?
Well, as you said, they should sit right around the crotch. Careful with that tape measure.
Taking a measurement from that same pivot point in his knee.
Again, do you want me flexed?
I do want you a little bit flexed. I get about 10 inches. I want to come down probably a little bit from that. I would say about 9.5 would be your perfect fit. So what does that all mean, summing all that measurements up? So each company does have a sizing chart referencing what these measurements actually mean. So once you have that put together, you can plop that in and give you a rough estimate of where you line up. If you want to confirm those measurements with me, you can always give me a call up here at 604-589-8299 or 1-800-567-7790. I also have my charts. We can kind of line that up, see where you line up versus, previous pad history, what you currently wear, what your preferences are. Quite a bit to this, so it's worth it to break it down. We can talk you through it and be able to figure out what pad size for you.
So Cam's walked you through the measurements. Obviously, the ideal world, you put the skates on, you get to feel how the pad sits on top of the skates. You can see how the knee sits in the cradle. You can experience with and without knee pads, depending on your preference, and how it integrates to the pants. But not everybody lives in a perfect world. Much like goaltending, the environment can change. So if you've got to do it online, that's how you measure. I learned something new. I didn't know you wrap it around the leg. That's how you measure floor to knee. That's how you measure ankle to knee. Then you check it out online. But if you have any questions, call Cam, reach out to Cam, double check those numbers, and you'll make sure you get a pad that fits you properly, not just in terms of your knee landing in the cradle, but your preferences in terms of thigh rise. Cam, thank you so much for walking us through how to fit a goalie pad and letting me play dress up once again here at the Hockey Shop Source for Sport.
Thanks, Kev.